Leanne, thank you very much indeed. We're busy talking about the province, various issues, and as you can imagine, these are the kinds of issues that resonate not just in the Eastern Cape, but the rest of the country as well. Many of the challenges that the Eastern Cape is facing, but also some of the successes, and we're going to chat a little bit more about how they've overcome some of these challenges so that other provinces can learn from that. But we also have a national department here with us today. That's the Department of Communications. The Deputy Minister is with us, and I'm just wondering, because often when we talk about the province, National Department is also setting policy, and sometimes there are interventions. And I'm just wondering from you, Deputy Minister, what are some of the National Department interventions in the province that you're making to make a difference in this part of the world?
Thank you.
And this is Deputy Minister Stella Ndabeni-Abrahams.
Thank you, Peter. Good morning to the Premier of the Eastern Cape and his executive. But most importantly, I want to say good morning to those that are viewing this program and my followers on Twitter and Facebook. I just want to say, firstly, on behalf of national government, as we have listened to the President, we have outlined a number of projects that are focusing mainly on infrastructure development. As we understand that for us to be a thriving province or a thriving country, we have to make it a point that our people are also able to communicate and they're able to travel from different parts of the country. Therefore, we have made improvements on that in terms of saying we're committing these funds for certain projects as we have listened to the President. But with regards to my department now, as the Department of Communications, I want to thank my SABC, of course, for affording the people of the country and those that are outside for having an opportunity to engage with the leadership of the Eastern Cape today. We are making it a point that we are working with all the government departments that are here to strengthen their communication programs, because for us, it is not just about putting good programs in place, it is how we engage with the public so that they're able to come on board and advise government on the challenges that we are facing on the rollout. One point was made by Udada, I think from Ngambele in Mthatha, where he makes mention of the letters that they've sent to different government, or departments. Ours is to say, how do we then make it a point that those that are getting paid to do their job, they act immediately, so that our people are not aggrieved in terms of what is it that government is doing. Therefore, we are strengthening all communication policies together with the implementation of them to make it a point that we make a difference. On the issue of National Development Plan, I'm happy to say, I know the Premier maybe have already announced, I know they are working on the Provincial Development Plan, which is something that makes us happy at National, because it means there's going to be synergy and alignment from the national plans in terms of saying, how do we then make it a point that we customize all those great programs from National to focus on the Eastern Cape characteristics and making it a point that they contribute towards economic growth of our country. Thank you, Peter.
All right, thank you very much indeed, Deputy Minister. All right, she mentioned the Provincial Development Plan. That document is done now, is that correct? And I'm just wondering, because we've got these plans, the National Development Plan, how do we make it a living document and make sure that everybody gets on board and makes it happen? Otherwise, it can be a document that sits on your desk, great plan, but doesn't happen.
Well, thank you, Peter. It is to make it not just a government plan, but rather a plan shared by all in society, the critical stakeholders in society, business, labor, and the other community-based formations to share in that. We've sought to mobilize their support behind the plan, but also in the implementation, that we could create a mechanism through which there is joint monitoring over that which gets done in the name of the plan. So that's what we have in place. And again, it's not many plans, it is rather the program that we have drawn that is specific to the province out of the National Development Plan. So it's really a programmatic, relevant or specific to the province, the implementation of the National Development Plan that we've really captured as the Provincial Development Plan.
Okay. MEC Qoboshiyane, Kutala Kulubana says we need more black commercial farmers. How's that going to happen?
One thing I just want to confirm, Peter, is that, for instance, Saturday I visited the Gad River Valley Belt, which is a citrus area in the province of the Eastern Cape, and the farmers were saying, MEC, we are now exporting internationally. I visited Ngquswa and I could see that they don't have pack houses for those oranges in order to meet the European regulations. And because of the collapse of the infrastructure for the past few years, the intention of the provincial government currently is to revive those community black-led industrialists which are already penetrating the market domestically and internationally. We are attending to that. We've got budget to look into those things. The farmers in the Cat River Valley, for instance, were saying the land that we have is too small for us to grow. And the government is already supporting them on input cost issues so that they can also multiply their own production in that particular area. Premier announced 86 million, for instance, of multi-user facility, which is booming in the ITZs. And I think that is where a call for small, medium enterprises are going to derive value addition for what they are trying to do. And I think the areas of processing, for instance, of coffee, as we're going to visit the areas of Ndlambe in the next coming few days to look on chicory potential, with DTI having an interest to come and revive that commodity, the dairy products that we have in the province, the livestock improvement program that we have, the grain potential that I indicated, the forestry development program of the province of the Eastern Cape, and the furniture manufacturing, and the question of specification. If we are not addressing those matters when we are procuring goods and services, and we will say we need this kind of specification, but the timber that we produce is not speaking to the product that we want from our province, we are going to get that particular product outside the province. And these are the matters that we are mainstreaming, and I think working with the Department of Economic Affairs, that primary understanding is quite well located. The issue of cereals and protein and supplements is what we are going to attend to.
All right, so I'm going to start to rush us a little bit because we're running out of time. And so if I come to you to your table now, please, if you could ask your question as quickly as possible, starting at table number 5, Monde Ngonyama. If you could ask your question as quickly as you can.
Thank you very much. Premier, you have alluded to the question I wanted to ask, but let me emphasize on it. The Provincial Development Plan. Is the Provincial Development Plan as extracted from the NDP an inferior version of it? Or question number 2, are we not on the risk of finding PDP the views of the academic elite? These questions are premised on the fact that the Provincial Commission seems to be evasive and not opening itself up to scrutiny on the suggestions they are making to you.
Okay.
And just a last one, Peter.
No, we don't have time, actually. I want to thank you very much indeed, Monde Ngonyama. Table number 20, we'll find Nsigilelo Kwezi. Table number 20, please, if you could raise your hand and ask your question. Thank you very much. Be very brief with your question, no preamble. This isn't a lawyer's document.
Thank you, Peter. My name is Nsigilelo Kwezi from SANVA. SANVA stands for South African National Military Veterans Association in Florence. The question goes to the Premier. 2 questions.
No, one.
Oh, one.
Yeah.
Premier, when are we establishing military veterans desk in your office? Thanks.
Okay, military veterans desk. And then table number 10, Siabulela Lucas. Table number 10, Siabulela Lucas.
Thank you, Mr. Premier. Mr. Premier, I would like to ask when us as the people with disability sector are going to meet in order to actually plan a way forward in terms of key performance indicators and areas for the officials in your province to carry out the targets of people with disability, because we do have a database in our organization, Eastern Cape Disabled Economic Empowerment Trust. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much indeed. Shall we start with that question? Because that's also one that comes up often. How do we prioritize people with disability?
Oh, yeah.
Can I say that we have had an interaction at the end of the year in which we agreed to convene a summit before the end of March. I did express a very definite view in that respect. So that meeting would have said, actually it's a summit we want to have, to really take stock and look at how we can add further impetus in terms of helping everyone else to appreciate meeting the targets, etc. We have committed that that is taking place before the end of March.
Okay.
In respect of that, and we are in constant dialogue about it. And
okay, Military Veterans Desk.
the Deputy Minister in the Ministry of Defense, we are already in contact in that respect. The finalization there, though, that's awaited is all the things to do with how do we facilitate that, who is going to look into the financing of that. But in the meanwhile, it looks like we've got to foot it as the province. Before June, this coming June, we would have sorted that matter. But I've already started the engagements prompted by the request from the Ministry of Defense. But whilst it is not yet in place, we are, however, implementing some of the programs aimed at benefiting military veterans. We did express a very clear commitment in terms of housing towards military veterans. We've made a very stern commitment, contribution towards the goal that the President has set in that regard.
All right, and then the Provincial Development Plan and its place vis-a-vis the National Development Plan.
Look, the process that has been led to develop the plan has really drawn a lot of animated discussions. This is but an example of the discussions that really underpinned that process. But certainly we do not want to end it there. We want it to be a living document, and I think we cannot say at a given time it's like cast in stone. It's an implementation plan. It's a plan of action that continuously must be a subject of constant review as conditions themselves change. It's something that we must interact with, and I really welcome the comment very positively.
Okay, MEC Somyo, a question that's come through from LV Walking Billboards. How many jobs are Chinese investors creating in, for example, Kucha IDZ, East London? What value are they adding in terms of jobs? This seems to be a question that keeps coming up.
Well, if you look into the investments which have come through both industrial development zones in East London, if you look into the diamond cutting industry, which has been in existence in East London so far, there's a phenomenal contribution of such nationals in terms of job creation. And if you look into Ngucha IDZ, the President came in there recently to open up FAW truck manufacturing industry, which itself is a very huge investment, close to above 1 billion rands, which has contributed quite immensely on the job creation instance. They are continually coming in to making their own investments forward. So the question of numbers, without having categorized them, they are, through those investments, indeed making some form of formidable impact in as far as job creation is concerned.
Okay, we're running out of time desperately, sadly, but let's go to Dini Namba, who's on table number 6. Okay, very quick question, and I'm going to get a brief answer. Very quick question, less than 20 seconds.
Thank you, Peter. I'm going to try to be quick as much as I can. I just want to find out, there's been a gap, a technological gap in terms of the rural broadband. So I just want to find out from the Premier's office as to, are there any plans or strategies to close that gap, as we've seen that there's a progress in housing in other areas.
All right, so this is broadband?
Yes, that's
Okay,
right.
all right.
Yes. Well, yes, working with the National Department of Communications, they've piloted some areas in the province, Lady Frey area, Imalahleni as an example. But certainly the rollout of broadband throughout the province is one of the things we've committed to make further engagements because there is definitely benefit out of that. So it is work that is going to support the growth of the province. We'll be working on that.
All right. Unfortunately, we've run out of time. Big job ahead of you still, but I think that generally speaking, most people are looking forward to the actualization of the vision that you stated in your State of the Province address. So, ladies and gentlemen, on your behalf and for you at home, I just want to say thank you very much to the Premier of the Eastern Cape, Phumulo Masualle. Thank you very much for joining us. Thank you, MEC for Finance, Economic Development and Environmental Affairs, Sakhumzi Somyo, the MEC for Education, Mandla Makubula, the MEC for Rural Development and Agrarian Reform, Mlibo Qoboshiyane, and earlier on you saw Helen Sauls-August, MEC for Human Settlements. Thank you all very much indeed for joining us and your contributions. And to you at home, thank you for being part of this conversation, and we certainly look forward to chatting to you at the next one. Take care. Have a great day, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thank you.